questions so that we have this for future reference as well, so you can always come back to it after the fact. I am Jennessa Director. That's my name. I'm Jennessa Durrani, and I'm the Director of IFMA Boston. And this is our 14th annual Awards of Excellence, and I have done all 14 of them. So I have been around the block a few times and have seen 1.5 million nominations written over the years. And so wanted to put together, again this year, a presentation of really what I think it takes to put together a winning nomination. So today what we're going to go through, and did my slide just advanced?
Yep.
Can everyone see that? Okay, perfect. Thank you, thank you. So really what we're going to go through is I'm going to do a brief overview of the nomination categories. I'm kind of going from the concept that you're starting fresh, but I'm not going to try to get into the minute details because you can always go back. I will post this. I will send you a copy of the slides as well for future reference, as well as it's fairly between this and what we put out for the call for nominations. All the fine details are there. This is really, it's the piece on what the judges are looking for, and also just walking through the nomination actual platform that we use, so that you know what, how to actually go in and put in your nomination. So we're going to go through the nomination categories, understanding the requirements, really what it takes to write a winning nomination, then we'll do the questions and answers. So just as a save the date, there was a misprint on the date in the last email blast, so I want everyone to know that the event is on Wednesday, May 17th at the Institute of Contemporary Art. This year's theme is Navigating Change, which is actually going toward the whole theme that IFMA Boston is working on this year. This year, the format will be changed for awards. If you've been the last 2 years, we're going to start with a cocktail hour in the lobby of the museum from 6 to 7, then go upstairs for awards from 7 to 8, and then there's the cocktail dinner reception starting at 8.
Sorry,
Okay, there's a little bit of feedback, so I'm going to go ahead and mute, and then if anyone has any technical difficulties or want me to ping, just add it into the chat. Okay, so the submissions deadline is the most important date so far, which is Friday, March 24th. So we still have 2.5 weeks left before nominations are due. Understanding the nomination categories. For our awards, we have project categories and we have individual categories. So the project categories fall into four categories within the category. There's sustainable building operations, and that really is, it used to be into 2 different categories. One which was more on building owner versus building tenant. So different, it's now all together. So any program that you have or your clients have that is not just necessarily that their building was built to LEED certification, but have they put in different types of renewable energy sources? Have they done a huge recycling program? It doesn't have to be just in construction. It can be in the actual maintenance and running of the facility as well. Then the projects are small, medium, and large, and that is purely based on square footage. We also have always had in the project category, if there's any actual process that any of your clients, or if you have put into place that is a process that is a facility management process a new software application that was written just for your use. Those types of projects absolutely can still be submitted. It does not have to be actual construction, and you would just put a process in a small project. Then for our individual awards, we have the Exemplary End User Award, and that's a IFMA Boston professional member who works as a facility manager. An Exemplary Service Provider Award would be an IFMA Boston associate member, and that is a vendor or practitioner. An Education and Professional Development Award. This is someone who has helped further the education or the development of the facility management profession. And that has ranged from people who have been professors to ones that have led our lecture series to those who have worked within our helping our certification study halls and so forth. Emerging Leader Award. This is open to any of our IFMA Boston members who are 35 and younger, who are blazing a trail and are excelling within the facility management profession and or within the chapter. So within each of the categories, when you go online, if you haven't done so, I would encourage you today, if you're thinking about nominating a project, just to log into the system and click in and actually log in. You'll to sign up for the program, and then you can actually go through and kind of play with it and so forth. You're not bound and required to do a submission just because you've created a login and so forth, but that way you can see what it looks like and so forth. Each project, it used to be it was kind of an open-ended. We just gave you the opportunity to just say whatever you wanted on a project and so forth. And it was very hard for people to understand exactly how much to say and what the judges were looking for and so forth. So 3 years ago, we changed the program so that each of the categories is just a series of up to 5 questions. And each one, the question needs to be answered within 300 words and less. So for each nomination, the maximum is 1,500 words between you and being completed within the nomination. So the first one is to please summarize the project. And this is also what we use to kind of write any of the summaries that we use within the New England Real Estate Journal, for our People's Choice Awards, for if your project wins and we make a video. So it's really kind of putting all your bang, a little bit of everything from the whole nomination into those 300 words to understand what the project is. Then what were the largest challenges faced in this project as it relates to facility management? Is it space, constraints, its usage, its workforce, its users? What are the benchmarks or measurables related to the project? And were there any unique team or project delivery systems put into this project? For sustainable building operations, there is a few different still the challenges, and then on the benchmarks, those that are related to sustainability. And were there any unique and or innovative systems put into place that increased its green nature? Those being perhaps further on past construction, what they're doing for everyday energy conservation, recycling, waste management, and so forth. Also, I'll just note this here. I'll note it elsewhere also, but you can nominate one project within both categories. It's size for the project and for sustainability. You just need to actually put it in there twice and answer the questions accordingly, depending on the nomination. And then the individual awards, there also is going to ask you several questions about the individual. I won't read this verbatim, but it's really how have they made a difference within the chapter and or within the facility management industry. It doesn't, everyone who is to nominate a person or a project, someone has to be a member of IFMA Boston within that company. So if you were if my company Celebrate wanted to nominate someone or a project, I would need to be a member of IFMA Boston. Who you are nominating for a project, so if you were to pick XYZ company, they do not need to be a member. The nominator needs to be a member. We would love for them to be a member as well, but that isn't a requirement. But if you are nominating an individual, that individual needs to be a member in good standing. Then we have the Education and Professional Development Award and the Emerging Leader Award. Again, I think I mentioned it's really, how have they helped further the profession, further the chapter as it relates to education and development, and with the Emerging Leader, those who have shown great leadership at a more entry-level, more fresh out of college, and so forth. Okay, understanding the requirements. These are the nitty-gritties of what you need to know when you're nominating. This is what I was just mentioning before. Nominators must have an IFMA Boston chapter member in good standing. The person who actually physically puts the nomination in does not need to be the member, as long as there's someone on record for as a member from that company. We're good. And you can submit it. You can also ask me if just to verify and so forth. The project or process nominated must have been completed in 2016. In the past, it has gone from February to February, and that has been very confusing for people because where exactly is the cutoff and so forth. So this year we've changed it. So it has to have been completed in the calendar year of 2016. You must answer all of the questions within 300 words. You must upload up to 5 photos. You do not need all 5 photos. We would like the 5 photos because if the project wins, there will be a 1-minute video that is created that will run when the project is announced, and 5 photos just make it a better video. You may upload up to 2 supporting documents. These would be if you were doing a restack and wanted to show thing, if you did a fast track schedule and wanted to show that, if there were huge budget reductions and so forth, you could show that. That area lets you upload any kind of document as far as Excel, Word, project, PDF, and so forth. There is a spot within the nomination where you can upload a link to a current video of a project, but a video is not required for our nominations. If you have already done one, you're welcome to show, include the link and the judges can see it, but that isn't a requirement. And you must upload the logo for the nominating company, that would be you, and the nominated company, whoever you are nominating their project and so forth. That also is just in preparation for if you win, that is used within the video. If you're nominating, again, an individual, they must be an IFMA Boston member in good standing. And again, if you have any question, if they're a member or not, just let me know and I can easily look them up. You need to answer all the questions within 300 words, and you need to upload a headshot for them in the media section on the individual awards, if you have it. If you don't, we will follow up with them after the fact. And you may upload their resume in the attachment section if that is something that you have access to and want to include that. All right, so here is kind of the step-by-step of what you're going to see when you come into the nomination process. And again, I'm sorry for the redundancy if you have done a nomination before, but I don't want to make any assumptions for the folks that are on the online. So here is the URL that is also in the call for nominations. It's a hot link, so you should be able to get right over to it. You can create a new account, and it'll ask you your name, a password, and so forth, and then you're in, and then you'll be able to see what I'm about to show you that you're going to see. So when you're registering, you're adding your name, your email address, a password and confirm password, and then these are the nominator details. So this is, you're going to put in who you want to be listed as the nominator. That doesn't necessarily need to be you if you are putting it in on behalf of someone within your company. It's whoever you want to have referenced. If we have any questions and so forth, this is who we would go to. Also, when we list anywhere our nominations, it's always going to say the company that was the nominator. And so that's the details of whatever company that is. And that's part of your registration. That way you don't have to fill that in each time you do a nomination. Every time you do, you could put in 10 nominations, and those nominator details will already be auto-filled for you. It will know that that is who's doing it as it relates to when you've logged in. Then you go ahead and you can pick any of the nomination categories, and you pick one to start with. And then it's going to bring you to this screen depending on, this one is the Sustainable Building Operations, but depending on which award you pick, it will show you the different things that you're going to need for there. So the nominee is all the details for the company that you are nominating. Then there is the team, and this is important. You can list here all of the disciplines and companies that you want to be acknowledged the night of the event. So if you've been to awards before, when it is time to, small project award, and it lists, we'll go through one at a time. On each of the projects, we'll pick one of the photos and say this is the project that was nominated. It was nominated by this person or this company, and then it's going to list all project team members. You can do lighting. You can get down to the fine details of, I don't know, you could do food service. It matters not. You can add all the people that you want to be acknowledged. What happens, though, is someone will call and say, I want to make sure that I'm listed on that project because I've worked on that project, and I cannot add them. I will only add the people that you have added in originally, just because I don't know what the relationship was, and I can't verify if they've been on the project and so forth. So I just want to make sure that you give as many kudos to all the people that you want, and that's how they're going to get onto the list. In the media, you'll add up to 5 photos for best practices, and those need to be image files, so not PDFs, but actual JPEGs. Or you can add the one headshot if it's an individual award. For the attachments, you can do up to 2 supporting documents, as I noted before, or a resume if it is for an individual, and all the questions are 300-word responses. So then you can continue to save, just save, and then you can come back tomorrow and you can add a little bit more, and you can save, and you can keep coming back. When you're all done and ready to do, you're going to save and submit by March 24th. If I come on March 24th and something is only saved and not submitted, like I can see that it has started, I will ping you just to make sure, because there are many times that people will start something but they decide not to submit, but I don't want to make that assumption. I want to make sure that it wasn't just that you forgot to push that. Okay. I'm talking fast, but I want to make sure that we get through everything. Okay. Frequently asked questions. Professional photography is not required. Many times people will have photos that they'll put within their submission, and then before awards they give me a new photo because something was taken and so forth. That's fine. Whatever we have at the time of nomination is what the judges will use in their evaluation. You're more than happy before awards to give me anything else you want, but what is in the nomination is what the judges will see. A video link, as I noted, is not required but welcomed. There is no cost to nominating a project within our system. You can nominate as many projects and individuals as you'd like. You can submit, as I said, a project process in sustainability and in a project category. You just need to answer the questions accordingly. 5 photos are preferred for our video creation, but you do not need all 5. The winning projects are not announced until the night of the event, so you need to be present to see if you've won. Again, there will be a 1 minute. Every project is highlighted that is nominated. We don't go down to finalists, and then, so every project that is nominated will be acknowledged from March 24th to May 17th equally. Individual award recipients, however, will be announced. It used to be that we didn't announce those till the night of, but it was this arduous task of making sure that they were in attendance and so forth, and not wanting to ruin the surprise for them. And then they were upset that they didn't have their wife or husband or whoever there to be. So now we let them know ahead of time, and that is promoted prior to the event. The deadline for nominations is Friday, March 24th, and the project will be judged at the beginning of April. That date hasn't been set yet. Okay, insights on writing a winning nomination. This is what you're all here for. The rest is all kind of the unfun stuff. I want to just start by saying that our nomination, our submissions panel is 6 individuals, all that work within facility management on site. So they're actual end users. So they are current active facility managers and love the details and love the nitty-gritty and so forth. So the more you can add for them and are speaking to them, the more likeliness of winning. So less is more. You really need to customize your responses to the questions to provide the most bang for your 300 words. So this isn't, it used to be a lot of people would just copy-paste their marketing materials and so forth, but while that is great verbiage for marketing, it isn't necessarily enough to give the judges what they need to know that says that this project is worthy of an award based on their facility management operations. State the challenges. So each project we know has a challenge, and this is where a lot of projects, you know, you might not think about nominating because they weren't the big ticket ones, they weren't the big flashy ones, but if you have a project that even if it was smaller in scale or smaller in scope, but absolutely addressed the challenge and the client was over the moon happy and it saved them, you know, time, money, space, gave them more amenities, opportunities to recruit, and so forth, that's the type of thing the judges are wanting. So it's really, first you have to say what the problem was, and then tell them how you solved that. And if you can measure it, you need to include it. So they love benchmarks, they love figures, they love space numbers and reductions or efficiencies and so forth. So they really want those details, way more than they want to know what any of the materials that were used. Unless the materials were used helped in these benchmarks, it isn't, it is on how the project was completed from the view of a facility manager, not necessarily from the side of a designer. Communication. So now that we have so much different technology available to us and so forth, was there a new app that was created that helped all of the project team members communicate? Was there an online platform that everyone used to be able to work in their cost reductions? Is there different ways that people were able to communicate to help better the project process, and or is that the process in itself. I mentioned at the beginning, it doesn't have to be just construction. It could have been a process in itself, even within an existing facility that helped further and better the facility management program. Anecdotes. They love stories. So I know that we only have 300 words, but being able to say, you know, testimonials, quotes from the client, feedback that was received, and so forth, helps them see that not only you had the challenge, you provided the solution, and it was the solution that the client was looking for. And were they happy? And this also goes on to the concept of the testimonials. So telling the story, how the project was completed, not just the figures, and then were they happy? And this is the biggest, hugest, seems like a no-brainer from my perspective sitting here knowing that IFMA is the International Facility Managers Association, but this is the big one. This is a facilities management award and not a design award. And I will have to tell you that I can't remember the last time that we put up a project that was nominated that wasn't beautiful, because I feel like you're not going to design a space that isn't beautiful. But that is not what the judges care about. Obviously, aesthetics absolutely make a difference within a facility, but that is not the types of things that are going to make or break for your nomination. So you only have 300 words, and that's where I was noting before. You really want to focus on the behind the scenes, the nitty-gritty, the benchmarks, the savings, and so forth, and not spend too much time discussing the color palette, the materials used, and so forth, unless they promote and or further those benchmarks and so forth. So if it's a material that was used that was able to reduce, you know, it was a completely, you know, 100% recyclable material or from recyclable materials and so forth, it made a difference, then that makes a sense, as opposed to not making it, again, focusing on the design of the space. They want the details, so assure that you, as the nominator, have access to all of those details. So this is where I know it is hard, because most of the nominations, they are done on projects that are already complete. So they're not necessarily have as much access to the clients and so forth. But the more that they can be involved, the facility managers that you worked with to be involved with this process, they can tell you all of these things. I find that, you know, if, depending on the nominator, the further they were away from kind of the client, as far as, you know, a different vendor further down, I don't want to say the chain, that's not what I'm trying to say, but that the further away you are from the client of having direct contact with the client, the harder it is to get these details. So the more you can team together, and this is where a lot of nominations that have won of late have been an interdisciplinary nomination. So 3 people got together and were able to pool all of their information and nominate jointly. We have found that that has been successful, and I would, that is perfectly fine to do it that way. And just let me know if you have any questions when you go in to nominate, if that seems confusing. I think that I already went through a lot of this. Awards, again, is going to, we'll start seating people at 6:45, so we can start awards at 7. If you haven't been there before, it's at the ICA. So the cocktail hour and dinner are in the lobby. And then we go up to the theater to be able to do the awards theater style. There will be reserved rows at the front of the house for all of the nominating companies. So typically we have 2 to 3 seats, depending on the number of nominations that we receive, for folks to be able to sit close and be at the ready if you are to win. Those are first come, first serve. We have them roped off for nominators, but it is a, we don't check IDs if we have people go into the row. Each project nominated will be announced with a photo of the project, along with the project team list, as I mentioned before. And every time the project is nominated between now and the event and during the event, it'll be accompanied by the nominating company. So XYZ company is the nominator, and they were nominated by 4 Point Project Management. There is the benefit of being the nominating company. You get a little bit extra burst from doing the work of being able to have your name associated with the nomination several times throughout. Projects will be announced the night of, and anyone can go to the podium, and everyone can go to the podium. You can. It's not a limit of 1 person, 10 people. The more the merrier. There isn't a speech. You just need to have a photo opportunity with the award presenter. And again, if you are one of your projects nominated wins, there will be a 1-minute video that is played while you're going up to the podium and so forth, and it tells a little bit about the project. Again, those are gleaned from that summarize the project question, the very first question in your nomination. And it utilizes the photos and the logos that you submitted at the time of the nomination. Once all of the awards have been given, we have, our goal is 45 minutes. It will never exceed 60. Everyone will go back to the lobby for a cocktail dinner reception throughout the remaining of the evening. So one other thing that we do also have, one other award that is given throughout the evening is the People's Choice Award. So once the projects have been selected, or all of the projects have been nominated and have gone to the judges, and we're ready to announce who was nominated, we will now send out a survey to our entire list, which is about 3,000 people. And we send it to all of our nominators as well, the survey link, for you to promote the People's Choice Award. So we open the People's Choice voting for 1 week, and everyone and their grandmother can vote for your project, and you can use that as a promotion opportunity, and you can send that link to whomever you would like. Everyone votes once. And that project will also be, that's the last project that is announced the night of. So now, oops, hold on. I am now going to make you all unmuted and open it up to answers and questions. How about we start with you giving me the answers, and I'll tell you the questions. Questions and answers, if anyone has any questions. I rattled on very quickly. And you don't have to have questions. That's fine, too. So if after this, if anything comes to mind, you know to email me at Jennessa at ifmaboston.com. Nope. ifmaboston.org. And just also really I would encourage you to go into the system and log in and just play around with it before it is, it doesn't matter if I open up nominations 3 months or 3 weeks before the deadline. It's the 3 days prior is when actually everyone will go in and try to do their nominations, and then that's when all the questions are going to come. So we hope that you will all nominate and tell all of your friends to nominate, and then join us on the evening of May 17th. And again, I will post the recording of this and the actual slides for future reference if you need them. Otherwise, I think we're done.